Hey loves, welcome back to another video. It's your girl Arianne Styllz, and today's video is going to be a little bit different. We'll be dishing the real tea on moving to Canada from Jamaica, especially from a woman's perspective. So if this is a video that you're interested in, keep on watching.
All the good vibes running through my mind. Nothing can stop me, I'm on a high. All the good vibes running through my mind.
So before we get into this video, I'm going to introduce my friends. So some of you, or maybe all of you, may already know Miss Chev B. If you are not familiar with her, go ahead and subscribe to her channel and also follow her on Instagram, Snapchat, and Twitter at Damn That's Chev. And this is my friend ALICIA, who also goes by the name of Tweety Alley. You can follow her on Instagram and also follow her business page, which is Imagine Woman.
CA.
All right.
CA. Okay.
All right. So let's get straight into this video. The first thing we're going to get into is what are some of the things that you guys had to gather before coming to Canada, and also like in the first week or two of being in Canada.
The documents?
Yeah.
All right, so for school, you need, I had to gather the application form, of course, your credentials, because I was doing a postgraduate certification, so they needed to see that I had a bachelor's or something, some form of graduation stuff, whatever they call that. So I had to gather that, of course, send it to the school. In terms of CIC though, thankfully I didn't have to do a police report for my study visa, but for the PR, which that's when the document is this long. But for students, like all I had to do was the biometrics, send in the bank statements, and a hack. I'm gonna give you guys a hack in terms of bank statements. The money doesn't have to be in your account only.
Really? Yeah.
So yes. So a lot of people think the money have to be in your name, in your account. It can be in the name of somebody that you live with or your parents, and they just write a letter
that they are financially responsible. Show.
Although in truth and in fact
they may not be.
But I didn't say this to you, okay? But yeah, so you show your finances, send your passport and all of that, send that through. So that was, the study process was
breeze. It wasn't hard.
But you see, when it comes to PR, you need an entire passport. You need to tell them how many times you have traveled over the past 5 to 10 years. They need a police certification from anywhere that you have lived for more than 6 months since you're 18.
For 6 months or more.
Yes, and it's not 6 consecutive months. It's if you go to the US and all of your stays add up to 6 months, you need a police certificate. Yes, so a lot of people get the paper gets sent back because of that, because they will go to a country, travel, and they don't realize that it adds up. So you have to add up your stuff. You need your your job. So yes, I had to get job letters from all of the places that I've worked since in the past 10 years or since you're 18. So it was 10 years for me. Holy, what else did I need? Oh, pay slips. You needed pay slips as well because I was working here.
Well, we can get into the PR part because
remember,
there's federal and then there is the school, and it's a lot.
It's a web of paper for true. Yeah, it's a lot of paper, but initially coming here was easy. It was just application form, send my passport, show the bank statement, come here, reach airport, them give me everything, got my SIN, whatever, and boom, start Canada.
You start living.
Yes.
That's basically the same thing.
Well, for me it's different because in the previous video I stated that I came here as a dependent, so a lot of things I didn't do for myself, so I don't know the full process. All I remember doing a police background check and the police report and all of that. But that's the only thing I think I was involved in.
Yeah.
So
and the medical,
yeah. So yes.
And as a student, you don't do a medical until it's time for your actual
PR.
PR.
So I don't recall doing much
And it's
Yeah.
also depending on the
didn't do a
country
lot.
that you're coming
You're from. Okay,
Yes.
because that's what I wanted to touch on. If you coming from Jamaica or probably most of the Caribbean islands, for the most part, your requirements are not as extensive as opposed to somebody from India or Pakistan, because our predominant language or our
It's
first
English.
language is English, whether you want to accept it or not.
Yeah.
So you don't have to do an English test
Yeah, I would have to do all
to
that.
go to school, while other countries they do. And you do a biometrics just once.
Yeah.
You do a biometrics, then it's valid for I think 8 years,
Yeah,
somewhere along those lines. But it's valid for quite some time. So you only do that once, and you don't need a police record at that initial stage. So for us, the documents were mainly for school. So the next question is, how much did you gather financially for coming to school? All right, even if you didn't have that in the initial stages, how much you think, if you were to give someone else an advice, do you think they need to gather?
I think I need a minimum 15,000 Canadian dollars, and that's just to hold you off for like 6 months. I know what I'm claiming. CIC says like $13,560 for the year. Yes, I know the exact figure. So I know that's that now. That's the figure now for the year, but realistic. I mean, that's if you're living like at the basic.
That's not
level.
basic. That's the poverty line.
Yeah, so that's what they say you need. But the reality is, to find somewhere to live, rent can be at least $1,000.
And if it's $1,000, you're living possibly in someone else's basement or a room in someone's home. So it's not necessarily that's the sort of situation for $1,000. If you were to rent on your own, you're looking from anywhere from $1,500 upwards.
It didn't used to be that bad.
And it depends on the area.
It depends on the area.
Yeah.
But if you come here, like to say like on a different circumstances apart from say school, like on a school visa, working visa, if you're coming here per se, like instantly you become a PR, you'd be eligible to have government housing, which some of them like $300 for rent. It's not the best place to live. You know what I'm saying? But it's a start. It's a start. So some of them are like $300
don't want to
$500
come here and start on government assistance.
True,
because they need to
because they need, because even before you come, because I distinctly remember that for my mom, it was like, how are you able to provide for your family? So you need to show proof, like you and your husband and everybody. You know,
and
adults in the family.
And they may come back
because
at you and say, but you said you had
you
this.
need to be
and the
able.
13,560 if you're coming as a student.
Yeah.
But if you're coming on a PR, I think it is close to $20,000 if my memory serves me well. Because the PR, what you need to bring for PR and what you need to bring as a student is two different figures. So it's a little bit more if you're, and you have to show that in your
So you need to show where the government won't need to assist you.
Yeah.
I mean, eventually you'll be able to get that assistance, but to get in, you have to show, like as Arianne said, depending on which country you're coming from. Because if you're coming from a country that experienced war and stuff like that, I'm almost sure the requirements
are a little bit
different. So if you're coming as a refugee, then you don't. As a refugee, health and finances isn't taken into consideration for you.
Because you're fleeing because of risk.
But if you come as a
able-bodied person, you need to show.
You have to give your able-bodied team.
You have to show where the government won't need to. Don't need to piggyback off of other people's back.
And the reality is, Canada is good at helping out not in the biggest of ways, but compared to other countries, they are very helpful. But we know the government; they are not trying to help if they don't have to help. So
you need to prove that you can't help
they're taking
yourself.
in people who can build the country, but at the same time, they want you to come with what you have.
Exactly.
They're not trying to give you anything to come here.
Exactly. So like people like us, and also people need to come here prepared for the amount of taxes and all of that
Ooh,
you're
yeah.
going to pay. Because
Yeah.
at the end of the day, with the help that you're getting from the government, somebody got to pay for that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Somebody, just to say that, just put that out
Yeah.
there. Somebody
Yeah,
got to pay.
yeah. Yeah, and the price, no matter if you're a student or a PR or whatever, the taxes are the same.
13%. You cannot get rid of that.
All right, so the next point we're going to go into is delving into the school aspect. Chev, I know the school part, you didn't have to go through a lot of this,
Yeah.
even though you went to school, but the first point is, Alicia, how I know you mentioned how difficult it was for you landing a job, but separate and apart from, you know, I think you mentioned that in the beginning you didn't have a job, but let's tell the people that even if you do have a job, you are only allowed to work a certain number of hours.
And I didn't know that.
So if you're coming here to think
know
you're
that.
gonna come with $10,000, and that's probably your school fee for one semester, and you're going to work and get the next semester's fee, you have a rude awakening.
Under the table.
Legally, you can only work 20 to 25 hours.
Mm-hmm.
25 maximum, and I wouldn't suggest that you go there. I would say 20 is the safe spot. And also, wherever you're working, you're possibly going to get minimum wage or probably $2 over that. So if it's 20 hours a week,
A minimum wage is
$14.
Yeah, $14.
Right? So 20 hours a week times $14. Even if you save for the whole year and I eat no food,
And I have no bills.
that not pay your school fee goods. So
That's
on that
real.
merit, I would say if that's what you are banking on, I wouldn't suggest that. Mind you, you have ways and means to work around, but that's not a way that I use.
The thing is, so with the 20 hours, so once you're in school, so once a semester is happening, you can only work 20 hours. I do know there, but once it's on break, holidays, you work 40 hours. So I know some people like they would just work the summer to make the, so because then you're more flexible because you can work 40 hours, you can do your stuff. So some people do that too. I mean, if you want to put yourself under that much pressure.
I worked with the
can
40
do
for
that.
the summer.
But you
not-
were working a comfortable.
Yeah, but
what
my
they
job
call a comfortable job.
wasn't one of those jobs that my back hurts or
Yeah.
anything like
Yeah.
that. So it was easy for me to do the 40 hours.
Yeah. But once you go over the 20 or the 40 hours, just know that it might affect it. They might not say anything to you up front, but when it comes to your PR and they start to check everything, it can definitely affect you.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't even know. I wouldn't even know
know
that.
that,
They check everything. So there's nothing you can hide from the
From
Canadian
them.
Yeah, you
government.
cannot.
And they're not gonna say
You
anything
can't
to you
hide
now. So you're
Until it's
working your
time.
40 hours now. They're not gonna say, Alicia, stop working 40 hours or else. They're gonna be like, okay, keep working 40 hours
Yeah.
and see what happens to you. Stink.
Yes.
So definitely,
So,
you have to be careful.
That's the reality of that. The next point that I think is important is that not all jobs here, when you're a student, is equal. From the day you step foot here, I suggest to have in mind that you need a job that meets the criteria for getting your PR.
Ooh.
There is what they call the NOC code. What does the NOC stand for?
National Occupational
Code. Okay. And the NOC code is what, it's like the different jobs falls under different codes. When applying for your PR, you only qualify, or your points, you really only qualify if you're under a particular code.
Yeah.
So I think there's
Dependent on the
A,
program.
B,
Zero, A,
B, and C.
And there's D as well. But a lot of us come, whether we're doing Canadian experience class, federal skilled worker, federal trade, you just go up to B. In terms of C and D, not a lot of provinces accept C and D.
C and D,
So,
yeah.
you know, CND level of the
okay,
code.
so like a customer service, so a customer service representative, for example, would fall under C.
So
you can't apply for a PR with a customer service. True.
Depending on. So if you go through provincial nominee program, so there are some provinces where provinces where if you're in the States, a province is our state. And if you're in Jamaica, it's parish.
And they have different governing bodies for each different rules.
So if you're, say for example, one of them provinces like Northwest Territory, Yukon, they accept C and D because not a lot of people
want to live there. So when we're speaking now, we're speaking in terms of Ontario, which is the hot spot. And because the government knows it's a hot spot, the criteria is more difficult. So when I came here, I was working at a job that my job at the bank fell under the C code. What I did was I was very frisky and previous, and I would say that's the mindset you have to have. So going to Humber, I connected with people. There was this one friend I had, she came as a PR, but she literally knew the ins and outs of everything. She was like, go ahead and do your English exam. She kept saying that. Mind you, I was probably 3 months into school. She was like, go ahead and do your English exam. She's like, be ready for when, at least even when you're done, you can go into the pool instantly. You're not running around trying to do these things. Whatever she said, I did it. I went and did my English exam, got good grades. She told me to do, there are 2 exams you could choose from, CELPIP and IELTS. I chose CELPIP because I heard it was easier. The exam process itself was easier. I did it, got good grades, tried to put myself in the pool. We get kicked out every day. Because really I did not qualify. Because I was using my Jamaican experience and going to school there, but I wasn't done with school. If I was done with school, I got some points that could probably key me in the pool. But I kept trying. I kept trying to go into the pool every single day. What I did though is my program had a co-op, and I would say whoever is, when you're choosing schools, choose a school that has a co-op option. That's where probably one semester is focused on you working somewhere. So that's experience there. They also, for Humber, which I loved, is that my program, they had a lot of the banks, a lot of the financial institutions coming in. You get to do on-the-spot interviews. And if I do an interview with you, I get the job. I'm not allowing you. I am not allowing you to talk. I'm leading that interview. Wherever what I always say is, if you are not confident about certain questions being asked, do not allow those questions to be asked. One question they ask, you answer the question, you start answer something. You lead the interview where you want it to go. So that's basically what I did, and I knew I was working at the bank and that job did not have the code I needed, so I had to start hunting. I got the interview, did a second interview with another financial institution, which is where I'm working now, and got a job that met the code that I wanted. I wasn't done with school till May, and I got my contract and everything from March. So I was going to be done with school in 2019 of May. I had a job secured, ready to start in June.
Yeah, girl.
So my aim was to get a job that had the code. So the first financial institution that I was working with, I looked at all the jobs they offered, what were the requirements, did those exams, and when I went to the manager myself and I was like, you know, sir, so-and-so, I need XYZ job for my PR, and I'm doing these exams to, you know, make myself qualified for those. are there any positions? He's like, no, we're not really hiring. I'm like, okay then, me not go fuss with you, sir, because me not go fuss with you. And I just started hunting jobs.
Yeah.
And I gave them my resignation in May. When I was done with school, gave them my resignation and started my job. So I was in a job before being done with school and could prepare myself to go into the pool.
Yeah.
So I had my English exam done, did it twice, because if you have to do it to get more points, you have to do it. If it means you have to do the English exam 10 times and it can give it 3 more points, you have to do it. You just have
3
to
points makes
more.
Different.
Because my thing is, I could not afford, well, I did not want to, even if I could afford it, it's money I would rather spend elsewhere. I did not want to do a second year of school.
True.
A second year of school could give me more points.
Yeah.
But I didn't want it.
How much?
Exactly. Exactly.
That would have been
So-
about 14, 15.
And one thing I want to understand, because a lot of this is
New,
news
yeah.
to me, but like with the job coding that you guys described, what I am understanding is that the earning of the job where you probably have that if it's at C or D, it wouldn't matter. The earning is just
the earning is not
the earning, which is kind of messed up in a sense, because you're giving all this money to the government, you're paying all this tax,
They
like
don't
because
care.
the government don't play about them tax, especially when you make a certain amount of money. So you shelling out all this money to taxes, you can't vote, you can't do nothing else. And then to be like, oh, but the job that you're doing, even though you're giving back money to this society, this country, you can't get your permanent residency.
Because what to them is they're looking at the they're looking at skills.
Yeah. And I felt so like,
because
damn.
the thing with Canada, them always say the 3 pillars to Canadians. So they always want to focus on family first, money, then refugee. So that's why when the money comes in the economic part, like what are you bringing to the Canadian economy? How can you help the Canadian economy? How can you diversify the Canadian economy? So that is why not every job is gonna get you there. You have to really search, and it's not just the job title, it's the duties.
The description.
So under every knock, so say for example, one of the knock is cleaner. And say you have the title of a cleaner somewhere, but say on the knock code it says the cleaner cleans the table, and you have never cleaned the table, don't you dare choose that's your knock code. Because they're going to say you haven't performed all the main duties. So you could have the title, but once you're not doing the duty, and that's where getting your job letters and stuff, because they have to outline everything that you have done.
Yeah.
So it's like one little thing, like this tiniest thing where you're like, oh, that it really matters. Like everything. When it comes to doing your PR, you cross every I. What you said? You cross every T, dot every I. You double check everything. Everything has to be to the perfection.
Okay, so the final point, which is probably going to be the longest point, is understanding the whole PR process. So the first thing is coming as a student. When you're applying for your PR, you can apply under 2 classes. It's the Canadian Experience Class, or CEC, and the Federal Skill Worker. All right, and the good thing that you guys are benefiting from is that ALICIA applied through the Federal Skill Worker, and I applied through the Canadian Experience. So it's 2 different perspectives. So I'll start with ALICIA.
Okay. So Federal Skill Worker is basically they're using your experience from outside of Canada to rate you for you to come to get your PR. So because I had work experience within the knot that I wanted from Jamaica, they used that because at the time that I applied for my PR, not applied for the PR yet, I have to go to Express Entry. So I have to create an Express Entry profile with like my name, my age, my work experience, you put everything about your life in it, and then they do their calculations, and then you get your score. You're trying to get at least 300, 500, 400 scores. You get your score, and then from there, once they pull you out of it, so it's like a lotto draw. So once they pull you out,
it's a number.
Yes. So if you have, so say for example, they do a draw tonight, and the minimum score is 350, and you're 350. Anybody with over 350 get drawn, and then they tell you whether they push you to federal skill worker, push you to Canadian experience class, push you to provincial nominee. Like all the programs are there. So I got pushed to federal skill worker because at the time I didn't have the 1 year experience, the Canadian experience. So I got that. So with that, which is similar but not so similar to CEC in terms of like I had to show a lot more things. So they still treated me, even though I was in Canada, they treated me like I was outside of Canada.
And applying to come in.
Yes.
That's probably the same step that, no, your mom was sponsored.
Yeah.
Was sponsored. Yeah.
So for that, I had to show that I had money in my... So even though I was working, I had to show that I had money in my account to cover myself for a year of expense.
I think she had to do that too. She had to have money in her.
Yeah.
The two of them.
Because, so the person sponsoring her would have to show that to have money to
and
show.
She had to show check come with something.
Yes. Yeah. So I had to show that even though I was working in Canada and the government seen that I'm working in Canada.
Because obviously you're paying taxes.
Right? So I had to show that, which is at the time it was $12,000. And I say at the time because every year they change the minimum amount that you need to have in your account. So at the time it was $12,000. I had to hold that in my... No, people, imagine you sit down with money in your account,
you can't touch
it because it has to stay in your account until you quote unquote land in the country,
and that's when your process is complete.
Yes.
When they send you that letter to say you're now a permanent resident,
and even then it's still not, because you have to land.
Oh yeah,
in terms
your thing
of
is different.
yes. So for me, once everything was processed and I got that letter to say, oh, here's your confirmation of PR, I did a flagpole. Because I was inside the country. So a flagpole is I went to one of the borders, which I went to Niagara, cross over into the US and just make a U-turn in the middle of the...
You have to do all of that?
Yes.
So land.
Because I have to land. So I have to leave Canada and return to Canada. Some people that leave and go about vacation. At the point in time, I never want to go on vacation. I just start my work and stuff. I never have the time for that. So I just say, yo, I just took a day off from work. Just drive. I didn't even go around. Literally the pole where they right in Niagara between the two borders. I just go around. And I did that. You have to make sure you have all the documents, because what happened was when I went there to do it, I totally forgot that I needed a bank statement to show that the money is in the account. Good thing I do my banking online.
I was going to say, I go back home.
It was two things. Good thing I do my banking online, and good thing I got a lady that was very nice.
Because not all of them are that accommodating.
So she said to me, she's like, so where's your bank statement? Because I went with every other paper that I needed. She's like, I was like, my bank statement. She's like, I was like, okay, I forgot to get that, but I said to her, I can pull up my account, I can show you, and if someone pull up my account, show her, and then she went through my life, and she just scrolled through your account and everything, and then, you know, she said, okay, welcome to Canada. You know me there, Canada, a long time. She said, welcome to Canada, get your stamp in your book, and then they mail me my PR card like 3 or so weeks afterwards, and then you're there, you're good.
That's it.
You could change your life.
Well, my process is similar in that I did, as I said before, I did the English exam, all of that, went and created you still have to create the same express entry profile, but at that point in time, I was intentional that I wanted to apply under the CEC, because I knew that the financial part, I ain't got that 12 to put in an account and look at. I'm sorry, girl. I did not have that to look at. So, come in, no more that spend it. Anyways, so put myself in the profile. I had when I just entered, I had 413 points, which at that time the number they were at was very high. Was like 560 something. I'm at 413, and the challenge I was having was that my work permit expired May 28, 2020. My job though started June 3rd, 2020. So there was a few days difference, right? Now, with me asking so many questions, people told me, oh, if you go to the border for your work permit, because you have to get a postgraduate work permit. So you have a work permit when you're going to school, but after you're done with school, you have to get a work permit that allows you to work full-time with a company, and that's called a postgraduate work permit. Somebody told me if you go to a border, basically to flagpole, there's a chance they could give you more than the 1 year. Because people have done that. I don't know if it's by error or what, but I'm always trying stuff.
I think it depends on the person who processed the document.
Right, so I went to Windsor. I went all the way to Windsor. When I went, the people didn't give me the dead 1 year. They gave that to me, as I said, May 28th, 2020, and I was worried because I'm like, even if I do 1 year of working, it's still not exactly 1 year. Because I would have to stop working May 28th of the other year, because that's when if I didn't get drawn to apply for my PR by then. While I'm working, I'm asking everybody a question. Every manager that I could go to, I'm like, okay, sir manager, if this is the case and I need 3 more days, if there is something that you guys can do to allow me to work those 3 days so I have my entire year. And they're like, okay, when the time comes, we see what we can do, whatever. That's me looking a year ahead, because I knew what the case was or whatever. Anyways, it worked out that I put myself in the pool early. I also did over the English exam so that I could get more points. And I had, by the time, so I thought they counted it as the exact 1 year. But once you're in the pool, I think
it's 11 months. They cut it off. I think for CEC, if I'm not mistaken, they cut it off at either 10 or 11 months.
I don't know, but it wasn't a year. And say for example, it was month 10 of being in the pool. I just went on there one day and realized that I had 500 and odd points.
Yeah, that's what they do.
Literally. And then, when was it? It was May. I believe it was May of the following year that I got the email. Oh, Miss so and so, you are invited to apply. Listen,
I best email I want to see in
my glad box open, and you have until. But this is in the heights of COVID. They're like, you have usually 60 days that they give you to apply, but because of COVID, they gave you 90 days, which was good. Gathered all of my documents, pay up. They increased the application fee by over $500.
I forgot.
So I had to find that and apply at the time. So yeah, that was really my process. So I sent in my documents. They gave me my confirmation of PR, but I'm still to this day waiting because of COVID, waiting on my physical card. And you literally cannot go out of the country without your physical card. You are a permanent resident, you know.
But you need that card.
You need the actual card.
It's a visa.
You need the actual card. Yes. So that's basically my process. So what I would say is always be 10 steps ahead of the process.
Know your information clearly.
Don't just sit down and not ask questions. I'm always asking questions. Even sometimes the process is difficult. Don't ever assume that you know everything. Sometimes me ask ALICIA the one question 6 times because I didn't get it the 5 times that I asked. I'm going to ask again.
Ask
if
again,
I
again.
need it. So ask questions because you don't want to make a mistake that can cost you. Because the reality of it is you can be asked to go back home, and no one wants to spend all of this money to then be asked to go home.
Yes.
Or you have to think of an alternative, situation. So, you just have to be smart about it and know that you can't just relax and think it's going to fall in your laps. It's a lot of work. It takes a lot out of you, but it's a decision that you made once you came here. So the student route is, if you follow all the steps and all of that, chances are you are going to get your PR. So that's a good thing. You're not leaving fate in the hands of someone else. Say, for example, you got married or whatever, that person can hold up your documents or whatever. You are in charge of your fate. So I would say if you know you really want to do it, but do your research, ask questions, and stay ahead.
And it clearly takes work. You have to make sure you really want it. If you're really not for it,
then
you wouldn't even say waste your time and all these resources and all of that for just not go all the way through with it.
And another point is, in COVID, there was something that happened, and only the people who were prepared got to reap those benefits. So I guess they had a thing where if you are postgraduate or whatever, they took in probably 30,000 applications, where you literally, it wasn't, you didn't need the work experience or the points or whatever. You just had to be there ready at the time to apply.
And that 40,000 cap,
it's filled up
in minutes.
By 25,000 ready and waiting brown people. Because those people, they stay ready.
Like everything that requires where you have to put in where is a quick, so like even to bring your own parents here, say you want to like apply for your parents to come here, that's like a 10,000 cap, and 5 minutes after they open,
it's done.
I have a friend that she heard about the opportunity, and she was able to apply because she already had her English exam, because I told her to do her English exam right away. She already had that. She had all her documents lined up. The only thing she needed to do was to, I guess, go get passport side. She did the police record before and everything, because they put out this information before, right? So some people couldn't get an English test done because the tests were booked out all the way till I think December. So if you don't have the English test, the English exam, it doesn't make any sense. She didn't do, like, if she was supposed to put the points in the system, she probably wouldn't get a lot of points with the marks, but that did not matter. They literally just needed the English exam.
Because the English exam it expires in like 2 years.
So just do it. So like literally, that was her being prepared and was able to jump on something, while some people now have to sit back, wait for their 1 year work experience to then apply and go through that process. You probably won't ever see this again for now, time. Because it's mainly due to COVID, and they're not getting a lot of international students and all of that. They're trying to keep who they have. So that's
in it to win it.
And you have to be ready and steady.
Stay ready.
Okay. So this is the end of our video. I really hope you guys liked it. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below, and we'll try to help whichever way we can. And the key is just ask questions, get information.
And you know what too, it helps too, there's this website called Canada News, and it mainly deals with CIC, in Canadian immigration and citizenship information. Sign up for that. Like, they send you something every week if that's something you're interested in, and you keep abreast, so you see what was the point of the last draw, so you know how to gauge yourself and figure stuff out.
Oh, and something I didn't mention, if you are looking to come the school route, I would really suggest going to Humber. It's international student friendly, and to be honest, the school you go to has a lot to do with how easy your process is. Some schools, they don't understand the process of international students. You can't even go to them and ask them a question.
Yeah, and also you talk about school as well. Not all of the big schools here, like the Yorks and the University of Toronto and those schools, they might seem like such prestigious schools here and all that, but they're not very much help.
Yes.
In terms of like how much you said, like with co-op programs, York does not have that. Yeah, they'll do all the big programs like the laws and the stuff and all of that. But if you're coming here as an international student, expect some crazy international student fees, and you won't get the type of help that you need if you go to like a Humber and
a Seneca and Centennial.
Yes.
Like, so those are the three schools that are so good for international students. Trust me,
and
they're probably the least expensive out of all of those. So George Brown is not cheap.
It's not.
UFT not cheap.
You are not cheap. And George Brown don't understand anything about international students.
Yeah.
That wasn't just my experience. It was what other international students. Because I had a choice between George Brown and Seneca, but because we don't want downtown.
Yeah, you went to George.
So
we get downtown.
Yeah, if you want to go further, like you said, like you want to do like other stuff, but do those schools to get in the door. Yes. Do everything you need to do. That maybe you can do all of that later
if you want to do a master's or something, you go ahead when you're paying domestic fees.
But
definitely.
Yeah, that would be my little advice.
That's true.
Anything else, ladies?
No, just as I said, just read, stay abreast of information, get your money together, and don't think that coming to Canada is a bed of roses. It isn't. Every change you make, you're gonna have to go through that change process. You know, when the butterflies, the caterpillar turns into you see the cocoon area there when you just come again. God go with you.
Yeah.
Oh, and one thing I feel like, just adding there, it's so easy to fall in debt. Here.
And the credit. We forgot to touch on the credit.
Because I think more than that.
Be very careful of how. Okay, so when you come here, I do get your student credit card to build your credit fund.
Get a student credit card. Yes, I did that.
Use it wisely.
Honestly, the student $500 credit is not really do
much. But they gave me a $1,000 credit card, and I wasn't working, and it was so easy to blow through that $1,000. And then next thing you know, them add all type of things. So as soon as you come here, you go to the bank and you want a debit card. Them instantly
give you a credit card.
Yes.
So
which you needed because you need to build your credit.
Yeah,
but do not fall in the trap. It is very easy because you will fall in difficult times. It's normal. And you can use it, but remember, it's borrowed money. And you're paying to borrow it. And the banks, they see that you want to borrow, they're going to lend you and charge you.
And money financial institutions like the cash flows and the money marts and all them, they prey on Caribbean people to fall in that debt. Like they really do prey. So
you'll be paying some 20% interest rates.
So if you're just coming here and you're looking for like, you know, like you blow through the little money where you have and stuff, it's so easy for those type of companies to prey on. It's so easy when you see a lot of people like with our background coming here. Fall in some serious debt. Like you have to be careful.
And for the first 2 years, live within your means.
And don't keep up with Canadian people because half of them in debt. And
they're in some serious debt.
Don't even compare yourself. A lot of international people are living better than these. So just know your situation and make make decisions based on your situation.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
all I can say.
It's so
Just put the
easy.
just do the sacrifice. Like sacrifice yourself for 2 years. You know, say, oh, the things I used to do before, I might not be.
Or
able
you
to
prepare
do it,
yourself
and
to
then-
come do them before.
Or-
Because
yeah.
with me, I knew that I didn't want to sacrifice that part of my life. I
Dead.
wanted to go out and have fun. So I came here so that I could at least not sacrifice that part of my life. So as I said before, I waited 2 years before coming and saved towards that. So you don't have to come right away, but if you want to seize the opportunity, if there's one now,
Seize
just
it,
know
but do
that.
it wisely. Just be
Yeah.
wise in all your decisions that you're making. Be extremely wise. Think, calculate it. How is it gonna affect me? 6 months, 1 year, 1.5. You don't just think about now. How it's gonna affect you in the future, because that's important.
Yeah, and I have another advice. Like for people who come here, if you're already at PR, I eventually get OSAP, student loans and stuff. So it depends on your income, how much money you get. Sometimes the government give you all that money to like to cover school fee. Cause trust, like my first 2 years, it wasn't enough with just the grants, so I got loans and grants. And you take all that money and you're like, wow, my school fees isn't even that much, but I get extra money in your pocket. Trust, do not take that money because it's gonna come back.
you gotta pay
And
back.
you gotta pay it back. So if you don't need to take that extra loan, because sometimes it depends on how much your family earns, or if you're older, because by that time I was a mature student, I would be over 21, 22 at that point. So they would give me grants that will cover the school fee, and then they will give you loans to say like, oh, this extra $3,000 for laptop each semester and all that books and stuff. If you don't need it, don't take it. You know, like
Just take the grants that you
just
have
take
to
the
pay
grants,
back.
you know,
Yeah.
because in that 4 years afterwards with the interest they add on top of that, it ain't cute.
It's no different from Student Loan Bureau.
Yeah, it is not cute, girl.
But no, the grants is not put your face in the
Yeah, but that would be my little tea. But yeah.
Yes.
All right. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, or even if you didn't,
Yeah, I'm sure you did.
Of course.
girls, go ahead and subscribe and also hit that like button. Again, you can leave your comments down below. Follow us on our socials. Follow me at Arianne_Styllz on
Instagram.
Snapchat, TikTok. And follow Damn That's Chev. That's on all
everything.
her socials. And Tweety Alley on
Just on
Instagram. All right. I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.